Hello and welcome to episode 100 of the How to Survive podcast. My name is Chris and joining me, as ever, is Joe.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well. Did you ever think we'd make it this far?
No, I thought we'd stop around 98.
Very good.
Yeah.
It's been a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We've been doing this now.
Yeah.
Nearly 2 years. It'll be 2 years in about a month's time.
Yes.
That we've solidly diligently, you'd say, released a podcast every week.
Think of all that's changed in that time.
Yeah. The world was such a happy place back in 2015.
Exactly.
Hope springs eternal, and now it feels like the end of the world is just around the corner. But we'll press on and make some new podcasts.
Yeah, Chris, before we start,
Yeah.
we've got a letter here. Our first letter to How to Survive Studios.
Oh, yeah. What's the address there?
How to Survive Studios, London. I'm just going to open that now.
Okay.
Dear Chris and Joe, I'm so pleased to know that you're celebrating your 100th birthday. I send my congratulations and best wishes to you on this special occasion. Please will you cover Tobe Hooper's Poltergeist? It was my favourite movie, and I used to watch the VHS whenever my family were out for the evening. And that's from Her Royal Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
Oh, it's lovely for her to get in touch.
Yeah.
Just a reminder that you can email if snail mail is too much for you. It's HowToSurviveShow@gmail.com. And you may have noticed, by the way, at the start of the show, there was a little theme tune. And you might have also noticed if you have deigned to look at your podcasting device of choice, we've got a new lick of paint as well.
Yeah.
Things are changing.
Things are changing now.
Yeah.
We've hit 100, and no more amateurish approach to a podcast. We're pros now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And to celebrate, Joe, the film that we're covering, it's an all-time great. It's a classic, stone cold classic.
No, every list of the best films ever, what's number one?
Yeah, it's this. It's Oren Peli's 2009 film, Paranormal Activity. And to be fair to it, it did change the face of the horror genre.
Yeah. For the worse.
Well, we'll get to that.
First, it was a fresh approach, and it quickly became rather sour. And that's bad news for us, because we're committing to watch every movie in the Paranormal Activity franchise for the next 60 weeks.
Yeah, well, one every 10 weeks. We're not doing a hard 60 weeks of Paranormal Activity.
No, I hope not.
Yeah, so that's our new franchise of choice. In a similar way to Friday the 13th, it did change the face of horror. I mean, some things have changed around here, Joe, but other things have stayed the same.
Yes.
As always, we will be talking about how we would survive in Paranormal Activity. And just before that, we'll be talking, just some of our thoughts and feelings about the film. But first, of course, as is tradition, we need to recap the events of the film so that we have a better chance of surviving it, don't we?
Exactly. Spoilers ahead for anyone who hasn't seen Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
It is available on Netflix, but you probably should have seen it by now.
Yeah, as Joe said, it is full of spoilers, this recap. So if you care about the story of Paranormal Activity, this is your last chance to duck out before we spoil all of it.
High-def camera on. My girlfriend Katie, she thinks there's something in the house. I don't know.
You believe me, right?
I think we're gonna have a very interesting time capturing whatever paranormal phenomena is occurring or is not occurring. Windows are locked, doors are locked, the alarm is on. Hearing a weird sound.
Something's here. I feel it breathing on me.
There's footsteps in, but there's no footsteps out.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
If you do try to play games with it, that's inviting it in.
Micah and Katie are a young couple living in San Diego. Following a patch of sleepless nights, Katie becomes convinced that there is some kind of paranormal activity happening in their house.
Like what you did.
Yeah. So Micah sets up a camera in order to capture any kind of otherworldly goings-on.
That's not all he tries to capture, though, is it? He also captures the minutiae of their lives, which establishes them as a happy couple.
Yeah. They're quite a sweet couple. Katie claims that as a child, she had similar experiences with the paranormal, culminating in a fire at her childhood home. A psychic visits the house and confirms a paranormal presence, warning Micah could antagonize the demon by recording it. Micah ignores this advice. The camera goes on to capture a raft of otherworldly events such as flickering lights and doors apparently moving on their own, but Micah, a cynic, decides to mock and antagonize the demon further. Going against expert advice, Micah buys a Ouija board to communicate with the demon, who instead sets fire to it. Surprise, surprise, Joe. Things get worse as a result, with Katie being increasingly targeted by the demonic presence. She becomes tired and depressed and stands entranced by the side of their bed for hours at a time. One night, the couple sprinkle baby powder outside the door, which reveals non-human footprints leading to the attic, wherein Micah finds a burnt photo of Katie as a child. Becoming increasingly distressed by the events in their home, they once again call in a psychic, only to find he is too frightened by the level of paranormal energy in their home. That night, the demon physically drags Katie from bed and down the hallway, leaving a bite wound in her shoulder. The following night, Micah pleads with Katie to leave the house with him, but she now believes it will be better if they stay, and says so in a sort of slightly demonic, pitched down voice. I don't know if you caught that. That night, Katie gets out of bed and heads downstairs before screaming. After Micah runs to help, his dead body is thrown at the camera. A now fully possessed Katie looms over and sniffs his body before lunging at the camera.
Yeah, in a very my first horror movie ending.
Yeah, and that is 2009's Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, all of it.
Yeah, it was an immensely popular film when it came out. And smashed the records for, box office takings versus its initial budget.
Yeah.
And all those sorts of things. It really did sort of set a trend for sort of a new wave of paranormal horror movies. Because before that, in the noughties, it was very much torture porn was in vogue. Obviously, you had the Saw franchise, Hostel franchise, and that sort of... I guess, like, style or tone was bleeding into lots of other horror movies that were coming out around that time. So they all had that sort of sickly Rob Zombie sort of feel.
So even like the Hills Have Eyes remake was very heavy on the torture elements along those lines. Yeah.
And, like, even things like House of Wax and, like, basically every horror movie that was released in the noughties seemed to have this sort of, like, nasty... like Slipknot music video aesthetic.
And very heavy on the wound detail.
And Paranormal Activity changed all that because, like it or not, I think it's fair to say that it is a film that makes the most of its very limited budget.
Yes.
And I remember when I first saw it, I watched it at university with a load of friends. And obviously not knowing what was going to happen... It was a very effective film, I think. It did feel a bit like sort of our generation's Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, it is similar to the Blair Witch Project in many ways. Obviously, you've got the limited budget, as you said. Yeah. You've got the completely unknown actors. Yeah,
which I think is a big part of it.
Yeah.
It has the same sort of, they're playing themselves, they're their own names, sort of things. It's not as effective because people knew what Google was in 2009.
The verisimilitude, Chris, is strong because you've got one point of view for the whole film, which is just the camera that he's brought into the house.
Yeah, the verisimilitude, that's a How to Survive favourite word.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain that?
Yeah, verisimilitude basically is the appearance of being true or real. And that's established by having, what we recognise as a believable shot because it's done through a handheld camera and it remains constant throughout. It's not like the camera suddenly starts flying around and we get different angles where it breaks like the realism.
And like, that can... that's not to say that you can't have unrealistic things in films.
Yeah, especially in horror movies.
Yeah, because verisimilitude sort of applies to the rules that the film sets itself.
Exactly. So a movie like It Follows... obviously relies heavily on paranormal activity, but not this film, but the phenomenon of paranormal activity.
Yeah.
But it sets out strong rules and it sticks to them.
Yeah.
And that is where it's got strong verisimilitude in that way.
So yeah, the thing that it reminded me of as well was The Exorcist. So obviously, it's probably not on the same
Not quite.
level. But the Exorcist is obviously about someone being possessed and the result of that. But it's basically what would happen if that happened, but to a sort of normal, secular, poor, or like middle class family, as opposed to a wealthy actress who can call in like the diocese to exorcise her daughter. And while it sort of all relies quite heavily on sort of bangs and noises, I think for the most part it avoids like typical horror tropes like the jump scares.
I would say it relies quite heavily on jump scares throughout.
Right.
So whenever there's something spooky about to happen, the sound design is really clever because it creates this like noise, right, in the background. So something's happening.
It's like air conditioning or something that's in the background almost.
But there isn't air conditioning on.
Yeah.
It just means there's something in the room. And then you'll be like interrogating the screen, waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
And suddenly it would bang. And it's a novel way of using the jump scare, which I think after the next 5 or 6 installments of Paranormal Activity is going to become particularly infuriating.
Well, that's the thing. I think that sequels and sort of imitators and all that definitely sort of lessen its value. And coming back to the film, I've seen a few of the sequels. I haven't seen them all, but like I was sort of turning my nose up a bit at Paranormal Activity. But it is actually better than I was giving it credit for before I rewatched it, I think. And it has some genuinely, I think, spooky moments. The thing that I always remember is when Katie gets out of bed and sort of stands entranced looking at Micah for hours. Like that's a really clever use of the format by having like the time code winding on loads.
Exactly.
Like that's quite effective. The first time the door like properly slams and they see it happen, I think is quite a good scare because it doesn't happen at the moment in the scene you expect. It happens like they wake up to a noise and then the tension seems to have sort of ebbed out.
Yeah.
And then they're sort of awake and watching it, and the
it
door
ramps
slams.
up again. Yeah.
And it's sort of, you would expect in that scene the door would slam and they're asleep, and it's like, oh my god, that's really scary. And then obviously the scene where she gets dragged out of bed is spooky because it's like it marks quite a dramatic shift in how involved the demon has become.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think there are a lot of elements of it that work really well, and like let's not forget it was shot for a pittance, and probably when they made it was they were anticipating it to not probably find much of an audience at all.
He did his house up especially to shoot the film, apparently. Put in banisters and things like that, and he had to rip up all the carpets so that they could pull off scenes like when she gets dragged out of the room.
I think it's good, and there are a few different versions of the film, almost like based around the ending.
Yes,
really.
Yeah.
And so there's sort of the original ending, then there's the theatrical ending. Once it got picked up by Paramount and
they changed it,
released professionally, and then there's the alternate ending, which is included on the DVD, which I think was only screened once to the public, but you can find it on the DVD. So the difference is, in case anyone isn't aware. Obviously, the theatrical and I guess canon ending is the one that's in the film, which is Katie like throws Micah at the camera, and then like looms over his body and hisses or whatever, and it's a bit
animalistic,
and not scary and ridiculous.
And then she lurches at the camera, and it like her running at the camera makes it fade to black. And then it says there's a post credits text that says his body was found by police, but she was never recovered. I want to talk about that later. But the original ending, which is the ending that I saw initially, I think is much better. Which is that you can find these on YouTube, by the way. But basically, Katie, as in the final film, gets out of bed, walks downstairs and screams, and Micah comes running after her.
and then you hear a fight, but rather than Micah being thrown at the camera, she just comes back up into the bedroom covered in blood, and it's and she's holding a knife, I think. And so it's like it's obvious what's happened.
Yeah.
But she then like sits by the bed and rocks
backwards
like,
and forwards for like 48 hours.
Yeah. And eventually like people phone and come round to try and see if they're all right, find the body, and then the police arrive. And when the police come upstairs, she's sort of like woken up from her trance and sort of runs towards the police officers because she wants to find out what happened to Micah, and they shoot her dead because a door slams in the background. And so that for me is a better ending because it retains like some level of ambiguity. I mean, obviously, by the time she's been like dragged out of the room and all that,
it's clear something is acting.
But like this way, it's almost like the demon is like pantomiming, like to make her kill herself, like and be a like credible crime scene. Which I think is more chilling than just she's now a demon.
There's no proof. That anything went wrong.
And then the alternate ending is, I think, the weakest of the three, which is that she goes down into the kitchen, kills Micah, comes back up holding the knife covered in blood, and then just goes up to the camera and in a very like pantomime way slits her own throat. And sort of like falls down dead immediately.
So what I had seen Paranormal Activity when it first came out as well.
Right.
I didn't remember the end. I knew it was like I knew she killed him. Yeah. But then I couldn't remember exactly how it ended. I seem to think it would have been a stronger ending than the one that was given if, and this is what I was expecting, that she walked up to the camera or just brought his body into the room and then killed herself. But I was expecting her to like, with the strength it like couldn't be found in a human woman, to like pull her head off her shoulders or break her own neck or something. Yeah. It's essentially having used that body for evil and now moving on. Yeah. But the real one is rubbish, right? Yeah. It reminded me of, you know, the play Ghost Stories?
Yes, which we saw once upon a time.
Yes. It had a lot of that, like, oh! Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. Which is, it was good. It's good in a play.
Yeah, if anyone hasn't seen Ghost Stories, it's a very good play. It used to be on hard rotation in London, but I'm not sure if it is anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember, a little side note about Ghost Stories? Do you remember when we went to see that and we were convinced that someone near us had shit himself?
Really?
Yeah. Because we were watching the play. Yeah. And there's like...
Yeah, I remember
this guy like left after the first big scare of like Act 2. Yeah. Or whatever. He left. And his girlfriend who sat next to him was like, where are you going? And he's just like, back in a sec. And there was a sign outside saying like, if you leave, we won't let you back in because it will spoil the sort of scariness.
The tension, yeah.
So we're like, oh shit, well this guy's going to get like locked out. But he went away, and then like 5 or 10 minutes later he came back and sat back down next to his girlfriend. And after like 5 minutes, there was just this like insanely strong stench of like cleaning products, like solvents or something, really intense. And we were like looking at each other going, what the fuck is this about? And we were like, oh my God. So what's happened is there's been a massive jump scare. This guy's like literally shit himself, and he's on a date, and he's like, oh my God. So he's left, and the staff would have been like, oh, you can't come back in. And he would have had to explain what had happened. And they felt so sorry for him. They felt so sorry for him that they let him back in. Yeah. And like he's obviously used some sort of like whatever toilet cleaner or whatever he could find just to like desperately try to cover the stench of shit. And then like 5 minutes later, someone in the play goes, oh, and he cleaned the blood up with like carpet cleaner. Yeah. And we're like, oh right, yeah, it's part of the play. Yeah. That was very good. Yeah.
Because it was putrid. Yeah.
Yeah. But convinced for about 10 to 15 minutes that this guy...
Yeah, I mean, we were whispering to each other, he must have kind of shit himself.
Yeah. Oh, good times.
Yeah. If you are that man, email in, HowToSurviveShow@gmail.com.
Yeah. So I think we agree that the ending to Paranormal Activity, the theatrical ending at least, is rubbish. And I think it actually leads into sort of my main issue with the film. And it's a sort of problem with found footage films generally, I think.
Okay.
Very few of them have the strength of their convictions to actually like keep the format all the way through.
Right.
And I think it really does break the immersion whenever they sort of give up on that. And this is particularly bad because it does it within the first 10 seconds of the film.
Yeah.
Like, because let's imagine that this world where these events happen is real.
Okay.
Right?
And it really is found footage.
Yeah. The film opens with like a thank you note to the families for letting Paramount Pictures use the
footage,
right? So that makes it a documentary, right? In this world, this footage has been found and then released as a product. Like Paramount Pictures has found this like horrible snuff film and gone, this is a documentary that we're going to release, right?
Yeah.
And there's like fast forwarding and there's intertitles and it's been obviously edited down.
By a movie company.
Yeah. So someone has like mediated the footage, which for one thing would instantly make it like unbelievable to anyone who presented if you were presenting a documentary as like, oh, we found this footage and now we've cut it all up. It's like, well, it's not that much of a stretch to then go to, well, you added the CGI of all
and
this
sounds,
stuff. Yeah. But then if you're releasing this film and you're Paramount Pictures, like you've found this footage and you're releasing it in the cinema, you're doing this as an entertainment product, right? There's absolutely no way that would happen, right? And that to me breaks the framing device, like that. The illusion that this is found footage is broken immediately. Yeah, for me,
because you imagine it was like a murder scene.
Yeah,
which it is, and then they gave it a multiplex release with posters on the side of buses and trailers on TV.
Like the thing with the Blair Witch Project is that it's like it does feel like you found a tape in the woods and you're watching it. And the same thing is with something like Cloverfield. It feels like you're watching a raw tape that's a classified document following the events of the film. Yeah, because it comes up with that sort of like splash screen at the start. So that makes sense within that context. And you could think, like, oh, maybe if you're an audience member, you could think, oh, maybe I'm like a conspiracy theorist. I've discovered this tape or whatever. But imagine Paramount Pictures releasing this thing as a documentary that purports to show paranormal activity. No expert analysis, no family interviews, no details about the victims. Katie is still on the loose, and there's no warnings of what to do if something similar starts happening, right? Yeah. There is basically no way that this would ever be released in this state, like as a product. Yeah. And so by like they should have just had evidence, tape number 007368 San Diego Police Department or whatever at the start, rather than having Paramount Pictures would like to thank the family of Micah and whatever.
You know why that is though? It's because Paramount wanted their logo on it, and they were told, no, that'll ruin the...
Right.
So they were like, okay, put our name in the opening credits then.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Yeah. But I think found footage movies rely on the idea that you, as an audience member, as an individual, have found the footage.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You've stumbled across a tape in the woods or whatever. And that's when it's spooky because it's like, oh, what could be on here? And it's really creepy and there's no explanation for it. But like the illusion of that as a framing device is broken literally by the first thing that appears in the film. Yeah. And that really annoyed me.
Well, that's a fair point. I mean, it makes the entire movie from the start, if you're remotely cynical, and I am.
Yeah.
Listen to the last 99 episodes to hear my dad watching a movie opinions.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a father, but when I watch films.
You become a middle-aged dad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I have further problems with it, and it wouldn't be a How to Survive 100th episode without me complaining about some problems with the film.
Great.
So once again, with Paranormal Activity, Chris, we have two very uncompelling characters who I would cross the road to avoid if I knew them, right?
Yeah.
They are basically a teenager's idea of a well-adjusted couple.
Right.
So their interactions are played out in the first 45 minutes, like, oh, babe, oh, we have such fun together. Oh, you're filming me when I'm doing my hair.
We're in the pool,
Yeah, I'm cleaning my teeth. How cute are we? Right? That's to establish them as a normal couple.
Yeah.
I don't know about you. If I was to stick a camera in my girlfriend's face all the time, all day, every day,
Yeah.
she'd be pretty annoyed with me by then.
Yeah. I mean, there's an argument to say that if you were doing it literally all the time, like generally people start to ignore the camera.
Yeah, but
you'd have to be like a professional documentary filmmaker.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he's like it's over his shoulder, over his face because it's so big.
Yeah,
and he's like sticking it right in her grill.
Yeah, he's like the very definition of all the gear, no idea.
Yeah, exactly. But so that's my first point. One is that he is selfish and irritating.
Yeah,
and entirely inappropriate at all times. He tries to convince her throughout the film to make a porn with him.
Yeah, make a porn.
Make a porn. Let's make a porn, please,
Yeah.
he says.
Yeah.
But this is like, she's going through a trauma. She's clearly either actually being haunted by a demon or experiencing mental illness.
Right.
And he's
yeah.
going, hey, let's turn the lights off and let's make a porn.
Yeah.
And she's going, no.
I'm in a severe state of mental distress.
Yeah. And he's, no, you know what we should do? You know what make you feel better?
Yeah.
Having sex on camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that is clearly something that you would be uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
What will make you feel better is me relentlessly pushing you to do this thing that you clearly have no interest in doing.
Yeah. Second problem with him, he literally ignores everything she says and reneges on all his promises that she forces him to make. So she's like, please promise me you won't enrage this demon.
Yeah.
Which, even if it's not there, right, it would make her feel better.
Yeah.
And he's like, first thing he does is goes out and buys a Ouija board.
Yeah. Do you know what though? When he did that and he goes, "Oh, you said don't buy a Ouija board.
Yeah.
I borrowed it." I can imagine you doing that.
No.
Yeah, I can.
I don't
Because
think
I can imagine you going, "Oh, but you said."
Yeah.
What you said was don't buy it, and actually, I've exchanged time for it, which isn't a currency.
Yeah.
Therefore, legally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I made my own Ouija board.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Out of this haunted piece of wood.
Out of this old witch's gravestone.
And then the third point that he does, which is incredibly strange, is to film his wife or girlfriend and her friends when they come over. Now, if your girlfriend had a friend over for drinks, dinner maybe, and you were running in the room going, "Hey guys, hey, how what you doing, guys?" Sticking a camera in their face.
Yeah.
Inappropriate.
Yeah. It's not a way to engender yourself to friends.
Yeah, how to make friends and influence people.
Yeah.
Bother them for sex on camera.
Also, they've bought the camera for a purpose, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if you buy, let's say your car gets nicked from outside the front of the house, and you're like, well, let's get a security camera. Yeah. You don't take the security camera off the wall at the start of every day and go around the house going, "Hey, babe, got a friend over. Oh, what are you doing?
I got the CCTV camera. Maybe we should have sex in front of it."
Yeah, exactly. Like it's inappropriate use of the thing that they've bought for a purpose.
Exactly. Now, that's why he is a dick.
Yeah.
Here's where she is a dick.
Okay.
Right?
Well, we're all about gender equality here.
Yeah. In fact, he's a nuisance and a pest and a weirdo. She is criminally evil.
Right.
Now,
okay. That's strong.
Yeah. She moves in with him,
Yeah.
knowing that she spent her entire life plagued by a demon, which has followed her throughout childhood, burned down her house. And even if she thinks this is like a, mental illness, she says at one point, "It's not. My sister saw it as well." Right? And it's only bothered me and it's followed me my whole life. She knows in her head, in her mind, she knows that she's been haunted by this thing. And yet she's very happy to move in with the demon into this guy's house and be like, "Yeah, what's the problem? I don't see why that's a problem." It's like saying, if I had a stalker, right, who regularly tried to kill me and burnt down my house as a child and was still at large, and I moved into someone's house without telling them, and the house got burned down with them in it, that's bad, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if that applies as criminal negligence. And also, I mean, if your fiance said to you, "Oh, I believe that I've been haunted for the last 25 years,"
Right.
you just go, "No, you haven't," because you don't believe in it.
Yeah.
And Micah doesn't believe in ghosts, so she'd say, "Listen, I think I've been haunted, and my house burned down when I was a child, and I think the demon is responsible." You just go, "Well, I don't agree because I don't believe in the premise that demons exist."
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah.
Knock it off, you silly old sausage. I'd say,
Yeah. Now let's have sex on camera.
Yeah. So, well, before we talk about how to survive, Chris, we always like to say, what do we know about what we're dealing with here?
Sure.
Because that thoroughly prepares us with what we need to know when we do discuss how to survive.
Yeah.
Now, you'll remember the psychic they bring in says this is a demon. This is absolutely a demon.
Yeah.
And that's outside of my remit. Now, I looked up types of haunting.
Right.
Because I wanted a second opinion.
Yeah.
Now, in demonic hauntings, the main goal of the demon is to break down a person's free will so that it can take over and possess the individual. Right? The deceptive evil spirit enters a home or location to do harm and destroy all that is good and sacred. The demon not only can possess people, it can attach itself to objects. At first, these types of hauntings or possessions may seem benign or non-threatening. They can appear similar to poltergeist hauntings, as they usually start out with slight disturbances, such as knocking noises, furniture being moved, etc. The demon may appear as a dark shadow in a location or may show itself as a benevolent spirit. When the demon finally reveals itself, foul odours, extreme temperature changes, and even physical attack can occur. Now, we certainly see physical attack, don't we? But
Yeah.
I don't recall seeing anything about foul odours.
No. It may be they're both very polite and there was an intense foul odour throughout, but they just assumed it was the other person and they didn't want to embarrass them.
Maybe it was the smell of cleaning products.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, that's...
It's that guy from Ghost Stories again.
I think instead, Chris, what they're dealing with is not a demonic haunting.
Right.
Or a residual haunting, which is when a residence is haunted.
Mm-hmm.
Or a poltergeist, which is just a mean ghost. I think they've got an intelligent haunting on their hands.
Right, okay.
Which is also a traditional or classic haunting. Now, it's called...
classic haunting.
It's called an intelligent haunting due to the fact that the spirit is aware of and able to interact and communicate with those living in the physical world.
Right.
These spirits want to get the attention of the living, and they can move or hide objects, send signals, or even speak to do so. Now, we see all those things happen, don't we?
Yeah.
The optimal time for ghostly appearances is during late night hours, but the spirits can muster up enough energy to make their presence known in the daytime, which we also see. There may be many reasons an intelligent haunting occurs. In many cases, some entities choose to stick around their loved ones. For example, grandparents around younger children.
Right.
Now, we don't know for sure whether this particular...
It doesn't appear benevolent, though, does it?
No, it doesn't. It kills people.
Yeah.
So would you err on the side of demonic haunting in that case?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a classic haunting. I presume is not always benevolent. Despite what they were saying.
Yeah.
So, I wonder if it's sort of like it doesn't have to tick all of the boxes for a demonic haunting, but it might tick enough of them to be a demon. It certainly leaves non-human footprints.
That's true enough, but that could be deliberate. That
Right.
could be
A classic haunting trick.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Is there any evidence for that?
Well, there's no evidence either way. The only evidence we have that it's a demon is when the psychic goes, "Oh, it's a demon," and then he's mad.
Well, is he though? Because he gets called in for a specific purpose, and is proven right by the end of the film.
Yeah, in literally everything he says.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll come to him a little while.
I'm
later
sure we will. Yeah.
When we talk about how to survive.
Yeah, and up next is the How to Survive section of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it would be best if we recapped our podcast rules.
Yeah.
In case we've picked up any
bad habits.
Yeah, and also any new listeners in the previous 99 episodes since we last talked about the rules. So we'll recap those after this.
This episode of How to Survive is sponsored by Mr. T Luxury Teas, who bring you this week's piece of useless IMDb trivia. This week's film is Paranormal Activity. Oren Pelly bought the Ouija board seen in the film in his local Costco. That fact might not be worth knowing, but Mr. T certainly is. Head over to Mr. T Luxury Teas to choose from a wide range of traditional, herbal and fruit teas from all over the world, packed with health benefits to help you get the most out of your day. Visit mr-tea.co.uk or Google Mr. T Luxury Teas to find us. Use offer code SURVIVE at checkout to receive 10% off any order you make.
So way back when, Joe, episode 1, we set out some How to Survive podcast rules, and those were to sort of rein us in when we were talking about survival ideas.
Yes, and make sure that we were keeping it fair and even.
Yes, and I thought just for the new listeners, it's the right time, episode 100, to recap those rules and just make sure we're up to standard. So, rule number 1, you must observe the established rules of the film, including setting, resources, and capabilities of individuals. So, in Paranormal Activity's case, that would be the world of 2006 or 7, whenever it's set, and the capabilities of Micah and Katie.
Yeah.
And you can't, for example, say, oh, I would get a lightsaber to kill the demon.
Yeah.
Or get Micah to learn Muay Thai to beat up Katie when she attacks him. Rule number 2, unless otherwise stated, you must assume the role of the character, including their motivations, abilities, etc. So you, for example, Joe, you couldn't say, I'm a 26-year-old man from the UK, I would have no business being in San Diego or living with a woman named Katie. Yeah. Therefore, I, am not at risk from the demon.
Exactly. And this rule is more to protect us in case of, like, I wouldn't be at the Camp Crystal Lake anyway. So,
exactly.
I wouldn't be on the moon.
Yeah. Rule number 3, you can't assume things we don't already know. So you can't just go, I would hold up a cross because demons probably don't like crosses. Because
that's not established in the film.
Exactly right. So you can't just take stuff from outside of that or make assumptions that aren't made clear in the film in order to help you survive. Rule number 4, unless specified, you cannot influence the fate or behaviour of any other characters. So, for example, if this was the Terminator, you couldn't tell Kyle Reese to just run up to Arnie with a big bag of explosives and blow him up right at the start of the film.
Yeah. Even though that's what he does at the end.
Yeah.
Spoilers,
mate. Rule number 5, you must try to survive. And that's to, stop anyone suggesting, I'll just give up.
Yeah. No, mate, do you know what? If it was a zombie attack, I'd just kill myself.
Yeah.
I would, honestly.
Yeah. You must try to survive because otherwise, what's the point? Yeah. So, with all that said, Joe, and I like the way that this is basically, these rules basically stop us from just going to generic pub chat mode where we're like, it's zombie apocalypse, I'll just shoot myself. Yeah,
move to a supermarket, mate. Live there with a shotgun.
Yeah, exactly. With all that said,
that's how people talk in the pub, isn't it?
That is right. Yeah, the last time I went there was 1974. How would you survive Paranormal Activity? The film, not necessarily the phenomenon.
So, here's idea 1. Straightforward enough. It's not necessarily an assumption, but it is a something worth testing, I think. Okay. Based on what we see in the film. That is to turn the lights on.
Right.
Now, whenever something happens in the house, they're in bed, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, fair enough. They hear a noise downstairs. What's the first thing they do?
Turn the lights on.
No, the first thing they do is grab the camera with the torch head attached to it and run downstairs and use that as the only source of light while they hunt around in the dark for whatever could have caused. Now, there could have been a murderer, there could have been a coyote, could have been anything.
Neighbour.
Do you know what would have helped?
Yeah.
Turn the lights on.
Yeah.
Do you know what's easy?
What?
Turn the lights on.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying it would have instantly solved everything. We do, towards the end of the film, see them get attacked when the lights are on. Right. But certainly early on, it prefers to attack when the lights are off.
Yeah. I mean, are you confusing causation and correlation there?
What, so you think it just happens to be a coincidence that the demon attacks during the dead of night?
Well, not necessarily, but the turning on a light is what stops the demonic presence, because you're forgetting that the demon itself turns on lights in the background of some of the nighttime shots. I take your point, though, that if you're looking for a threat, looking in a well-lit room is better than scanning the darkness with a sole spotlight from a camera.
Yeah, that's my point.
That is undisputable.
Yeah. So if the demon was invisible, for instance, turning the light on is a moot point. However, if it's throwing a couch at your head, it would benefit you to have the lights on.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I can see no reason why that would break any of the rules. It's within the capabilities of the characters.
Yeah.
Doesn't involve any technology that they don't have access to. And it doesn't go against any of their wishes because we see them turning lights on all the time anyway.
Yeah.
So I guess yours is it's attacking potentially a symptom rather than the disease, in the sense that it might stop, you getting
Immediately impaled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or like hit by something that you didn't see coming. But it certainly couldn't hurt.
No.
And you'd have a tough time arguing that they wouldn't have stood a better chance in the light than in the darkness, I think.
Correct.
Now, my survival idea is obviously a bit simpler than that.
Obviously. Well, more. It's simpler than turn the lights on.
It is actually simpler than turn the lights on. And it's obviously just get out of the house.
Yeah.
And I know by the end of the film, Katie is possessed and is being compelled not to leave.
Mhm.
And yes, by the end, it's apparent that Katie is haunted herself.
Yeah.
And it's not just the house.
Yeah.
But just leave.
Yeah.
Right? Leave when the chandelier is moving by itself.
Yeah.
Leave when the Ouija board sets itself on fire. Leave when the ghostly footprints appear.
Yeah.
Leave when you find a burnt photo from your childhood in the attic.
Yeah.
Leave when the doors start slamming themselves shut. Leave at any stage where it's apparent that Katie isn't mentally ill
Yeah.
and that something objective is happening in the house.
Yes.
Just leave.
It's rather obtuse of Micah to continue to assume that there's nothing there when he has video evidence. I mean, he's put together a scientific test
Yeah.
to find out whether there's something happening.
Yeah.
And that test has shown him that there's definitely something happening.
Do you think he's in denial? Like he's sort of like, he'll constantly move the goalposts. So
Right.
it's like the door moved by itself, but yeah, that might just been, I've been meaning to oil those hinges.
It's
for
just the
ages.
wind. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, like the chandelier is moving, but I think that's probably just some loose joinery. I mean, it's much as Occam's razor would say that it's just a loose screw somewhere.
What about these footprints that look like hooves?
The the neighbours have a particularly horsey looking dog, so it must be that. Yeah. So I wonder if he's such a cynic and a disbeliever that he,
he can't be convinced.
Yeah. By the time he is convinced, it's too late.
Similar to yours, mine's something of a logistical choice.
Right.
And that is just to stick to a crowd. Now, we only ever see the demon attack when it's just the two of them alone.
Yeah.
This is a test rather than a strong theory, but if they packed the house from top to bottom with like people,
Yeah.
would the demon still attack? Because it does seem to prey on them when it's almost like it wants to damage their credibility as witnesses as much as possible.
Yeah, like it's always in the middle of the night where you could just go, oh, you're having a nightmare and all that sort of usual stuff.
So yeah, just throw a Jesse Pinkman style like 5-day house party with everyone on speed.
Yeah.
So no one sleeps.
Is it irresponsible to do that and invite loads of people into the vicinity of what could be a
murder
dangerous
scene?
demon?
Yeah, that's true. It wouldn't be necessarily fair on them, would it?
No. It'd be a bit... You'd have to get their informed consent, I think.
Yeah.
And that would be very difficult for a number of reasons.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, every haunted ghost hunter movie or every like TV show you see, ghost hunters or spirit seekers, made that one up. Made up both of them possibly. But you know the one where they send the people in and they shoot in night vision.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
And there's nothing.
It's like the cameraman's...
had a fart.
Yeah.
He's got his cleaning products up.
Yeah.
They're always in a group and they never see anything.
Yeah, that is true. Again, are you confusing causation and correlation? I'm just wary about any survival idea that could theoretically put many more people in danger. I feel like that's an irresponsible thing to do potentially.
So you pack the house full of people, 60 people in there.
And then all 60 of them are dead.
Yeah.
The demon's like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
It's more people to attack.
Yeah, okay.
Then again, that's an assumption.
Yeah.
It seems like this demon has an affinity for Katie.
It's a bit of an assumption either way, really.
Yeah.
So We'll see, I guess.
Mm.
We'll see. I don't know when we'll see, but we'll leave a pin in that one.
Yeah. Well, my next idea is How to Survive Classic. It's a bit of advice that we've come to time and time again over the 100 episodes.
Yeah.
And of course, that is take the advice of experts.
Yeah.
Which in this particular circumstance is don't antagonize the demon.
Yes.
He's told explicitly, isn't he, Micah, that him and his camera are the problem.
Yeah.
Because him not believing and taunting the demon and trying to film the demon will antagonize the demon and it will make it worse. He does all of those things and it gets much worse.
Yeah, and he doubles down on that by doing the one thing he's told not to do.
Yes.
Which is
try and communicate with it.
With a Ouija board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's told that will make it much worse. He's told filming it will make it much worse. He does both those things, still mocks it and all that sort of thing. By the time he's come around to the idea, it's too late. So it's basically like, why bother inviting an expert in something round? And I know that he's a cynic towards it and he's filming it and, you know, it's all a big laugh for him.
Yeah.
Right? But the joke is, in the end, on him because he's dead.
Yeah, exactly. It's a similar situation to Aliens, where they bring Ripley into the situation and say, we're about to go to this planet full of aliens. And she's like, right, don't go there.
Yeah.
And it's a politeness thing more than anything, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's impolite to bring in an expert and then ignore them.
Yeah, if you got a plumber in because you're having problems with your pipes and they went, oh, it's this thing, it's like an air block or whatever. And you went, don't think it is, mate.
Yeah.
I have no qualifications in this field.
Yeah.
But I reckon what it is hard water.
Yeah. If they said, you know what, you need to stop flushing hair down the toilet because if you keep doing that, it's going to blow up and kill you.
Yeah.
And you were like, I don't think so, mate.
I'm going to, not only that, but you started flushing hair down at twice the rate.
Yeah.
Started collecting hair from hairdressers that's unused.
Yeah.
And
filming it.
And getting like a toilet board to communicate with your toilet. Yeah. It's a bad idea, isn't it? Basically any film where, I mean, it's a trope of horror movies is like the main character knows something like is explicitly wrong and no one else believes them.
Yeah.
And it's like nightmare fuel, isn't it? It's like you can't convince people that...
Yeah, there is that element to it, but then it's almost like it becomes unbelievable because he has obvious... Like he's conducting this test to find video evidence, which he gets very early on.
Yeah.
And
it just
like,
goes, nah.
Yeah. Hey, babe, let's have sex on camera.
Yeah.
And she said, no, do you know what?
The doors are slamming shut and I'm being dragged out of bed.
Yeah. No, babe. Let's just have sex on camera.
Do you remember when that psychic said if you got a Ouija board, then the doors would start slamming and I'd get dragged out of bed? Well, this is exactly what's happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, babe.
And my final survival idea, if I may be so bold, links into that. And it's basically, if you're taking it seriously enough to involve experts, just go to the police or a hospital or a psychology ward.
Yeah.
Like that can only stand to help them, right?
Yeah.
Because either Katie is suffering from paranoid delusions and she'll get the help that she obviously needs, right? Or they really are being haunted and the issue will gain wider recognition by these things happening in a, observed environment.
Yeah, exactly. People take you seriously. They can put things in place to protect you.
Yeah, and like you'll be somewhere where you can't hurt yourself or others, which is exactly what happens at the end of the film in all three endings.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's borderline dereliction of duty by Micah. Like the woman he loves is going through such a period of emotional distress and he's doing nothing. He's making it worse.
Yeah.
And
insulting her and insulting the demon.
Yeah, if your fiance was, going through a traumatic episode like Katie, there's a bit which is quite, upsetting to watch where she's like crying her eyes out in bed because of everything that's happening. And he just like gives her a cuddle and,
Should we have sex on camera?
Yeah. And like, that's, if your fiance was doing that, would you not seek outside help?
If she was being haunted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like even if she was either being haunted or some series of events was happening that was close enough to a haunting to convince her of that. Because he essentially does nothing. He essentially just lets it happen.
But not only that, he makes it worse.
Yeah. It's dereliction of duty on his part.
Yeah.
So basically, enlist outside help because you're clearly... This is Micah I'm talking to. You're clearly incapable of providing the sort of care that she needs on an emotional and sort of medical level.
He's more interested in playing with the camera.
Yeah. And you can do that in hospital.
Yeah.
So, basically, he should be ashamed of himself.
Yeah. I'll tell him when I see him.
Yeah.
So similar to your idea there, Chris, on dereliction of duty, I've got my final thoughts on how to survive.
Yeah.
So Dr. Friedrichs, the man they bring in, the man they insult by ignoring his advice.
Yeah.
Even he tells them basically, there's a demon here.
Take it seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah,
no,
I don't know about that. Now, does he have some level of responsibility in that situation? Because as much as he's like, this is outside my area of expertise.
Yeah.
Surely he's a doctor, right? I don't know what he's a doctor of.
Yeah.
He's a doctor. Has he taken some sort of paranormal Hippocratic oath?
Right.
Where he's sworn to protect people who come to him looking for advice.
Yeah.
Now, again, it's an assumption. It's an assumption these things are. But I like to think if I was a paranormal expert of any kind, and someone said to me, come around, Joe. Come around, Dr. Sherville. He's got a PhD after all.
Yeah.
Yeah. They said, come round, Dr. Sherville. And they said, is there anything wrong with this house? And I said, you know what? There's a demon in here. I'm going to leave. I think that would be...
dereliction of duty.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be irresponsible.
Yeah. I mean, he does that because he feels his presence is making it worse.
Right.
So it would be like, I don't know, there's like a severe burns victim lying in the road and a doctor who is on fire runs up. And it's like, well, I could administer first aid, but I am also burning at several thousand degrees.
Right, okay. That's a fair point. Or if a spinal surgeon walked in to correct a broken spine and then proceeded to just hit it with a sledgehammer.
Yeah, like he could do more harm than good. Yeah.
But do you think that there is... He's like, call Dr. Smith or whatever it is, right? Call my pal. Now, why doesn't he call him himself?
Well, his friend's Dr. Johann Averies.
Right.
Yeah, and it's weird, isn't it? Because he's like a character that's referenced multiple times in the film and just never turns up.
Yeah.
The demonologist who they never get in touch with because he's not answering his phone. And then,
He's one of the many things I expect to appear in the next 4 or 5 films.
Right.
We'll have him. We'll have the return of Katie. The return of Katie at some point as the MacGuffin.
Right.
We'll have...
have you seen any of the sequels?
No. Are they all the same series?
What do you mean?
Is it like chronological?
In a sense. It's not strictly chronological, but they do... There is a canon.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I also expect it to be a lot more explanation of what the demon is.
Right, yeah.
In our classic dusty old book trope of, what? This isn't just a demon. This is the Badugu demon of the Veloso realm.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of these.
He specialises in haunting middle-class young white couples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And specifically attractive young women.
Yeah. Well, there's only one way to find out, Joe, and that'll be in 10 weeks' time when we cover Paranormal Activity 2.
Yeah.
Next week, of course, it's back to our old favourite franchise, the one that up until this point has been the only franchise that we've been covering every 10 weeks.
Yeah.
But we've started Paranormal Activity because it felt like a good one to do for episode 100.
Yeah.
And we've only got 2 Friday the 13th films left.
Yeah.
Unless they really get their skates on in creating the new reboot that they've been working so hard on.
They've got 20 weeks.
Yeah. They could turn that around, I reckon.
Yeah.
This was shot in like 3 weeks or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
And that film, of course, next week is Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah.
Like Paranormal Activity, it is available on Netflix in the UK.
Goody.
And
I wouldn't want to pay for it, so...
Yeah, and Matt Tucker has tweeted in early doors with his thoughts.
Hi, Matt.
And he says, just watched Freddy versus Jason. Not sure what is worse, the script, the humour, or the hideously outdated CGI. So it sounds like more of the same for the latest in the Friday the 13th franchise. That'll be something to look forward to.
Well, I, for one, can't wait.
Yeah. And if you watch Freddy vs. Jason and you've got any thoughts on whatever that is, then the email address is howtosurviveshow@gmail.com.
Yeah, let us know how you would survive against Freddy and Jason. Although maybe it's just...
One or the other.
Yeah, maybe it's just them fighting each other for the whole movie.
Yeah.
And teenage boys and girls don't get caught up in the mix.
Maybe. Yeah. You can also tweet us if your thoughts are below 140 characters.
Yeah.
And that Twitter handle is @HowToSurvivePod. And for the very first time, you can find us on Facebook. And the address is facebook.com/HowToSurvivePod. And like with the Twitter, we'll be posting all the details of the podcasts and what's coming next, and updating you with any news that we might have.
Yes. And that could be a better place for you to share your ideas on how to survive. Each week we'll put up the poster of the movie for the week, and you can post how you would survive it.
Yeah.
And you can send us lots of money. So thanks very much for listening. Over the past 100 episodes, we really do mean thank you. It's been a pleasure to make these last 100 episodes.
Yeah.
And not at all annoying to sit through tremendously boring or impenetrable horror films.
Yeah.
We do it because we love doing it, and we love hearing from you guys. So thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Looking forward to hearing from you guys, and we'll see you next week for Freddy versus Jason.
So Chris, it's been 100 episodes.
Yeah.
Do you think you know your films well now?
Well, there's only one way to find out.
Yeah. I want to put this after the credits because it could be boring.
Yeah. So this is very much post credits for any hardcore fans, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We often put things post credits, and it's really for the hardcore, you know.
Yeah. So if you're one of those people who listens all the way to the end of when we've had a few glasses of wine and just want to talk about stuff, then slap yourself on the back because you're probably, a good fan.
Good fan.
You're one of our How to Survive good fans.
Yeah, there's a good fan. Right, question 1.
Okay.
Might put up a little music now. Might not. We'll see in the edit.
Listeners, you can hear that for yourself.
Yeah. Which director, Chris, have we covered the most on this podcast?
I guess it would be Ridley Scott or James Jimmy Cameron.
Are both tied for first place.
All right.
With who?
With who?
I'll give you a clue.
Oh, is it Friday the 13th guy?
Sean S. Cunningham?
Yeah.
No, he's only done one film, if you believe it. He doesn't get the full directorship on the one he was brought in to finish.
Right, okay, yeah, to fix. Is it Steven Spielberg?
He's one.
Right.
There's one other.
What, who's
in top spot. There's 4 tied for top spot.
Oh, right. So what is it? Ridley Scott, James Cameron, Steven Spielberg, and
this other person. Now, bear in mind, we are a horror podcast, Chris. Does that help you?
Right. Not really.
Few runner-ups there, Chris, with 2 films covered on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Miner, maybe the one you were thinking of, who did 2 Friday the 13th. Jan de Bont, of course.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Speed and Twister.
Yeah. Would he be runner-up place because he also it was the cinematographer
and
of
Die Hard.
Yeah.
Special mention.
Yeah.
John Carpenter for Halloween and The Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Wheatley, Kill List and Free Fire. Adam Wingard, Blair Witch and You're Next.
Mm-hmm.
Erwin Allen for The Poseidon Adventure and Towering Inferno.
Sure.
Chris Columbus for both Home Alone movies. And Mike Flanagan.
For Hush and
Oculus.
Oculus.
Correct.
That's the one.
Next question. How many times, Chris, have we seen human characters fighting against aliens?
Around 13.
13, 11 actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we've got all the Alien films, all three.
Yeah.
But 2 Star Wars films there.
Mm-hmm.
Life, which is obviously another Alien film.
Yeah.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers, The Thing, and Arrival.
A gamut of alien contact.
Oh, of course, my favourite. Independence Day Resurgence.
Yes. Famously.
But the difference of that, how many times have we seen main characters in the film travel into space?
10?
10 is right. Obviously, most of what we just mentioned.
Yeah.
But take away some, like Arrival, where they don't actually go in space.
Mm-hmm.
Add in The Martian,
Yeah.
where no aliens exist, and also Jason X
Of course.
Yeah.
Our favourite.
and Event Horizon, the best ever space movie. How many female directors do you think we covered?
1,
No, it's 2.
2.
Yeah.
We managed to double it.
Yep. That's the directors of Goodnight Mummy,
Right, yeah.
which is carried over from last year, and
Yeah.
The Invitation.
Right. Of course.
So that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That is a
Equal rights in
Yeah.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 2% of our output.
2%. That is pathetic, isn't it?
How many movies have been black and white?
1.
Yes,
Psycho.
correct.
Yeah.
How many movies have been foreign language films?
Julia's Eyes.
Yep.
Battle Royale.
Yep.
Is that it?
No, 2 more.
All right.
Under the Shadow
Oh, of course, yeah.
and Good Night, Mummy.
Oh, yeah. Ixay, yeah.
Yeah. What's the most boring film we covered, Chris?
Good Night, Mummy.
No. Assassin's Creed, obviously.
Oh, right, yeah. That was boring. There was foreign language in that as well.
Yeah, great.
True. It was all a foreign language to me, mate.
Yeah. I was tempted to leave that joke in, but you made it for me, so that's good.
Good.
Worst film we've covered?
Oh, God. There's so many. I mean, like, all the Friday the 13th are really bad, obviously.
Yeah.
But they have a sort of... I can't hate them because they're like...
You signed up for it.
Yeah, and also, like, they're just, like... They're stupid rather than, like...
Yeah.
They're not evil. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the film that's made me hate it the most was probably The Hills Have Eyes, all the way back then.
Because it was just like a...
It's just unpleasant. It was just like 2
upsetting.
hours of like misery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's still Independent Day Resurgence.
Right. Because you don't care about morals or anything. It's just how shit the alien fighting is.
Yeah. How many movies based on real events?
Oh, God. Everest, Titanic.
That's it.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. This is all... I'm just glancing at the list, so if I've missed any, then I'm sure the listeners will correct me.
Yeah. Well, 3 now, mate, because Paranormal Activity.
Oh, of course. Sound footage, yeah. Can you name the 5 real animals that we've seen attack humans?
Bear.
No, a bear counts for 1.
Right, dog.
Yep.
Bear and a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Have we seen any birds?
Not to my knowledge.
Gorilla? Are you counting King Kong?
I'm not.
Right. I don't know. What others?
Sharks.
Oh, of course, yeah.
3 times, I think. Jaws, The Shallows, and Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah,
Those were genetically engineered super sharks.
of course, yeah.
You forgot dinosaurs.
Right, they're stretching it now.
They are real. They existed.
Yeah, the Indominus Rex wasn't.
True. And of course, rabbits in Wallace and Gromit.
Right, of course, yeah. Yeah. Well, they were weird rabbits, though.
That's true. Yeah. Maybe they don't.
The
count.
rabbits were very benevolent.
So this is going fourth wall breaking here.
Okay.
But in terms of popularity among our listeners, we can see that through downloads. What are our top 5 most downloaded episodes?
Okay, so historically it's been 28 Days Later,
Yeah.
Titanic,
Yeah.
War of the Worlds,
Yeah.
The Exorcist,
Yes.
and Jaws?
Yeah. All 5.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Did you see my notes?
No, I didn't.
Did you look today?
No, I look at the stats almost every day.
Right,
So
okay.
that's probably why.
I bet I know what you don't look at though.
Yeah.
The least popular.
Oh, okay. I think I know, actually.
Go on.
Is it the Babadook is the absolute bottom one?
No,
because we
no.
released it as a
A special.
Yeah. And then after that, it's all of the Survivor-sode things that we did for episode 50.
Yeah.
I wonder why that's not come back. And then is it The Loved Ones, The Invitation, and something like that? It's all those sorts of films.
I clipped out the mini episodes and
because we
Trick or Treats.
pretend they never happened.
Yeah. Instead, what I've done is gone for the full feature films.
Okay.
Right. Free Fire.
Right. Okay.
Lowest downloads of all. So it's a strange one.
Yeah.
I guess it's fairly
Cult,
limited
it'd be a
release.
cult film eventually.
Yeah.
Though.
It's a sleeper, I think.
Yeah.
Next year, that's going to be climbing up the ranks.
It would be like Paranormal Activity. They'll
Yeah.
re-release it with a different ending.
Exactly. Event Horizon.
Okay. Yeah.
I can't believe it. Everyone's seen that. The Invitation.
Yeah.
Surprising, because it's a really good film.
Hmm.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers,
Okay.
which I kind of expected more, but I guess no one's seen it.
Hmm.
And then Jason Lives. Friday
Really?
13th part
That's
6.
the best one, though.
Yeah. And following that, The Thing, which was quite a surprise to me.
Really?
Longest episode we've done?
It'll be one of the ones that we got drunk afterwards and left the mics rolling while we just talked.
Yeah, correct. It was The Exorcist.
The Exorcist, right? Yeah.
Oldest movie we've done?
Psycho.
Yes, yeah. Newest movie we've done?
I guess Free Fire?
No, Alien Covenant.
Alien Covenant, right?
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, I'd like to forget that exists. Yeah.
Now, this is the most interesting question.
Okay.
And it's...
Thank God we're finally here.
Yeah. And it's also the last question, you'll be glad to know.
Good.
How many movies have we covered that were original properties, original ideas, and remain as much? So that means they're not a sequel, they're not a remake, they're not based on a book, and they haven't been made into anything else or sequeled.
I guess like a third of the films that we've covered.
You must have seen my notes.
No, that was a guess.
33 out of 100.
Is it actually 33?
Yeah.
That's mental.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That was a complete guess. That was literally just based on the fact that more films than not are tied to something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't name them.
Can you name one?
The Loved Ones.
34.
Fuck's sake. Right, okay.
I mean, others. It Follows.
Yeah.
Backcountry, Bone Tomahawk,
Yeah.
Towering Inferno, You're Next, The Witch, Survivalist.
Yeah.
All really good films.
Yeah.
that we've definitely gone back and seen again.
Yeah. If you had to pick one podcast or one film for people to watch and then listen to the podcast of, which would it be?
Coherence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think mine would be The Invitation. Both of them are available on Netflix in the UK.
Yeah.
So that's Coherence and The Invitation. Go watch them, and then luckily afterwards you'll be like, oh my God, I wish there was a podcast I could listen to that talked all about this. And there will be.
But there is. There already is.
Yeah, yeah.
That sounds like we're going to do it next week.
No, I mean, there will be already. Yeah.
Yeah.
There already is.
There already will be.
Yeah. So as a final sign-off, Joe, you may have heard, you, the listener, I mean, not you, Joe, you may have heard at the start of the episode that we have some theme music.
Yeah.
And we also have some really great artwork, which is designed by Finnish illustrator Inari Sirola.
Yep.
So thank you very much for her work.
Thanks, Inari.
Yeah, and
Go on.
the theme tune was it was a hot contest, Joe, between that one and one that you got a guy to make for you on Fiverr.
Well,
So what is Fiverr for people who haven't heard?
you buy creative projects for $5.
Right, so you can just tell someone to make you something for a $5.
Yeah, basically that's it. Yeah.
Right.
Now my plan was, you said, I'm making a theme song. I thought that'd be enough. Tell you what I'll do. I'll make one.
Yeah.
And my way of making things is to
Commission stuff.
yeah. So
Yeah.
should we have a little listen?
Yeah.
So you haven't heard this yet?
No.
I told you I was going to do it.
Yeah.
0 hour last night, 1 a.m. I remembered I'd bought it and
Money well spent.
yeah, checked in Fiverr, and the guy goes, "Oh, sorry, can we make it a little bit shorter because I can't fit the lyrics into this." He's like, "It cost you $10 more for me." I was like, "Come on!" I said, "Just cut it at random. I don't care."
Right.
So this is what we got. So any piece of music where it's sent to you with the phrase "Hello, dear friend," here is your order. I really hope you like it. I think it sounds great. for your program as requested.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really sorry for the late. And here you have a totally free guitar solo.
No wonder it's too fucking long.
To give you more feeling to the rock theme.
Great. Let's hear it.
Lots of blessings for you, Andros. So this is from Andros, who is not a listener.
If you want to survive in movies, we've got ideas which are really groovy. Don't drink and drive or smoke a cigarette. Don't swim at night cause you'll get wet. If you want to know that way to go, listen to the How to Survive show.
I can't believe he thought that was too long.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love how that drink and drive in this.
Thanks very much for that, Andros.
Yeah. Do you know how much
If
that
you're
cost me?
Go on.
$15.
$15. Well,
Yeah.
money well spent.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to buy that off me for your podcast,
Yeah.
you certainly can.
That'll be coming out on our merch store on
Yeah.
vinyl.
So you think your one's better, though, do you?
Well, I think we don't have to mention that it's mine. 'Cause that's
You
gonna
you think you're a big man, you better than Andros.
Thanks very much for listening. See you next week.